Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Benang. And whoops, we got a new patch already. I was completely surprised by this new patch, so that's why only now I'm making my card reviews. And I have to admit, I'm quite underwhelmed by this month's new cards. Why? Well, let's see. From these cards, I can see the new theme for this month is provoke, because every card has provoke, right? And normally with provoke you associate slower, long, drawn out, control-y kind of game that takes a few turns, right? And I think what the developers wanted to do was to slow down the game, less early and mid-range, so that we can experience all those cool cards that they have at 6 or even 7 mana. And in my opinion, with these cards they did not achieve that goal, if that in fact was their goal. Because first of all, these cards are way too expensive. And provoke on their own does not do a really good job of slowing down the game. The reason is because provoke can be dispelled, can be pushed away with Repulsor Beast. If you want to go fast, you still have options to keep on going fast. And yeah, expensive provoke cards are already existent and they are useless. Look for example, Whistling Blade or the Fire Blazer provoke minion, the 5 mana 5/5 provoke. Nobody uses that outside of Gauntlet. The reason is they are way too slow. Same as with these cards we have for this month. The common one is Tellem, 7 mana 4/9 provoke and frenzy, and it's... What were they thinking? I mean, we already have a 7 mana provoke, the 3/15 Whistling Blades, and have you ever seen that card once? I believe you will see this new War Talent just as often, namely never. I barely ever see any 7 mana cards. The reason is just what I just said. It's way too slow. I'd rather, because you draw 2 cards every turn, you want to have you don't want to play only 1 card and then draw only 1 card, because you lose 1 card draw, right? So when I'm at 7 mana, I'd rather play a 3-drop and a 4-drop, maybe even a 4-drop and a 2-drop, than playing one single big minion. The single big minion is very, very susceptible to removal, to dispel, and that's why nobody plays big minions. And I don't believe that this one will ever see any play. Okay, the rare one, Tellem, provoke, dispel any minion that deals damage to this one. This is a very interesting effect. We see something similar with Sunstone Templar, which is a 2 mana 1/4, dispel every minion that this minion damages. So this is the other way around. This one dispels after attacking and counter-attacking. That other, yeah, it's the same. And actually, it's more or less the same. Only this one is a bit more costly and it has provoke. And I also think that this card is quite useless. I mean, okay, why? The reason, first of all, it's 4 mana. 4 mana is a very, very important step, because many of the goodies start at 4 mana, right? This has to contest with Emerald Rejuvenator, which it loses. Emerald Rejuvenator has an opening gambit. It always has the effect, and Emerald Rejuvenator is not weak against Dispel. This thing here, if it gets dispelled, it's a 1/6 and you paid 4 mana for it. It does nothing anymore. And what else does it contest with? Well, many other 4 mana cards. And the Dispel, okay, I think a card like this is necessary. More Dispel in this game is more fun, right? At least for the player who owns the Dispelling cards. And I think this one is too expensive, and instead of Provoke, maybe it should be Rush or even Celerity. And I can't see myself at least play this card. It's just too cumbersome. Okay, next we have the Boner Reaper. And it's a very interesting card. At the end of your turn, deal 2 damage to all nearby minions, and it has Provoke. So it's basically Death Blight. It's not the same as Death Blighter, but it has a kind of similar effect rolled into it. Death Blighter is 6 mana, deal 3 damage to all nearby enemies. 3 and 2, yeah, are similar enough. This one has more stats, and this one has Provoke. So, is it a good card? And again, I have to say no. Because, first of all, do you see Death Blighter anywhere? No, because Death Blighter is actually kind of bad. This one is better than Death Blighter because damage is sufficient, and the damage it deals is sufficient. Also because it deals damage again and again and again. But then the stats are kind of strange. It's again susceptible to dispels. Also, with 2 health only, it's very weak against Zenrui and the new and changed Night Sorrow Assassin. So it has too many weaknesses, and the strength... okay. The strength isn't that great. So the reason why it's not so good, it's too expensive. The effect doesn't do too much, and it's weak against many things. Additionally, the weakness additionally to against Dispels is Zenrui and Night Sorrow Assassin. That's why it's also not a good card. And we have the legendary Hollow Grove Keeper, and it's very interesting. Destroy any nearby minion with Provoke or Frenzy, and gain Provoke and Frenzy as an opening gambit. This is a very strong effect, if you can trigger it. But let me ask you, when was the last time you played against any Frenzy or any Provoke? Frenzy maybe if you played against Magmar, like once every 15 games, and you can kill his Makantor after it dealt damage. Or Provoke maybe against Lionar once every 20 games, right? And then you can kill one of his minions, which is awesome, which is really good. But these are very situational. These two factions, which it is strong against, are already weak right now. You don't see, or at least Diamond and S rank, you don't see Lionars, you don't see Magmars around, and these factions are the one who would fear this card most, and every other faction plays neither Provoke nor Frenzy. Also, if you're destroying your own minion with this is really bad, because destroying your own minion is bad most of the time. Okay, my conclusion for this month's cards? Meh. I mean, after what we saw the last few months, we saw Keep Out the Veil, we saw Jaxi, we saw Dreamgazer. This month, I'm a bit disappointed. I don't think, or at least I don't think that this season, these cards will see much use outside of Gauntlet. In Gauntlet, yeah, the legendary might be quite good. in Gauntlet, I think it's you see provoke minions more often, and then you can use this card and the other cards too. I think you can use them more often because there are less dispels in Gauntlet. So maybe this is the theme. Maybe they want to promote Gauntlet play, but who knows? Who knows? For Constructed at least, these cards, I don't think they will see much play. Okay, but that's not the most important part for this patch. The most important part are the card changes, and we are seeing many cards change. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards are changed, and they're not on all nerfs, fortunately. Let's go over them, shall we? First of all, we have Kaido Assassin changed from 3-2 to 2-3, which is a huge buff. It does not die to a single general attack anymore, and it's still, you can still apply inner focus to it. The only weakness it has is it can be stolen by Zenrui now. So why did they do that? I think it's because of the Jaxi change, Jaxi nerf actually. Jaxi got nerfed from a 2-2 to 1-1, so it's weaker now. I think the change is, the nerf is deserved, because we saw many deck lists with Jaxi, and Jaxi was really oppressively good. The new Jaxi is less good, but it's still, in my opinion at least, it still does the same things, so it's still worth keeping. So what did Jaxi do? Jaxi was a body. It was very annoying to deal with. It helped you with trading in the first few turns. Does it still do these things? I think yes. It still is a body that can block, that can claim mana orbs. It still does that. It's still very annoying to deal with because the effect did not get changed, right? So you can still get a ranged mini Jax out of it. And the third one was it helps trading. Yes, it still does. One attack plus a general attack kills most of the 2-drops still. So early game, I think it's just as strong, and mid game and late game were slightly nerfed. So if your deck is more focused on the early game, Jaxi is just as good, and in late game situations it's not as good as anymore. Okay, I hope that was plausible to you. Let's go over to the Vitruvian changes. Let's do them both together, because this is the big one. This is the one everybody has been waiting for. Science Wish got changed to, instead of giving any minion +3/+3 and blast, now it only gives a dervish minion this effect. Wow, it's a big change. It's a big change. It's, in my opinion, it's obviously a nerf, and in my opinion, it's deserved. I like that it's still good. It's still the same effect, only it's gotten more situational. So when you can put it up, it's still really good, but the times you can get it up is less. You can't, for example, what I did a few times, you know, play 3 minions on first turn because you had Dream Gazer and 2/2-drops, and then next turn, you know, put up 2 Silence Third Wishes and then automatically win the game from there. Now you have to somehow get Dervish on the board, make these Dervishes stick on the board, and then, only then, you can apply Third Wish. And they changed Dunecaster to make it easier for you. Dunecaster is a card that gives any friendly Dervish +2/+2, and it does not disappear anymore, and it is now a Dervish itself. So if you have Third Wish in hand and no other 2-drops other than Dunecaster, it might be a good play to play Dunecaster without anything else. We will have to see how good of a deck you can come up with based around Third Wish. Other than that, Vitruvian, yeah, yeah. I think if you don't go for the third wish, Vitruvian is in a really bad spot because um, when I play. Well, okay, that's maybe too early to say. I'm retracting that statement. Let's just forget I said that and move on to the other changes, which is Night Sorrow Assassin got changed. It's um, it used to be a better variety of Saber Spine Tiger. It used to be 4-1 rush. Now it's 3-1. Destroy a nearby enemy with 3 attack or less? Are you kidding me? This is like the most value you can get out of a card. This is another nerf actually to Lionar, because let's think about Lionar cards, right? The 3 mana provoke, airdrop guardian, the heal himself dude, the damage other things when you heal something dude. They are all 3 or less attack, and Lionar used to be the worst matchup for Abyssian. Not anymore. And yeah, this card is great. Also, it kills all the other cards you can see here: Twilight Sorcerer, Keeper, the new Keeper of the Value, and even the cards we got this month. So yeah, this is actually a huge buff to Abyssian, that they have a new tool to insta kill many cards. Okay. Next change we see is Keeper of the Value. It got nerfed. It got its stats reduced from 4/5 to 3/5. Obviously, I think this is excuse me, this is deserved, because 4/5 for 5 mana plus whatever you get is way too much stats. And this nerf makes it so that you have to think about what you play in the early game, because if you play too many small stuff, your Keeper of the Value suddenly isn't as good as anymore. This is a change that promotes more late game play. So when you can delay the first few turns and not play anything too small, and if you can wait a few turns before you start playing, I mean, if you can skip your 2-drop and start with 3 drops, Keeper of the Value is still as good, or nearly as good as it was. So with this change, yeah, early and mid-range decks are nerfed, but late game and value-oriented decks have been buffed. And Twilight Sorcerer, I think, got another really well-deserved nerf, which is mana increase from 4 to 5. That card was just value incarnated, because the spells used to be so good, or are so good, that we have in this game. Getting a spell back was a really great thing, and now you can still get the spell back, which is good, but you have to pay more mana for it. So I still think that we will see Twilight Sorcerer playing, because it never was a card that you just played like that on turn 4. It has always been a card that you were preparing. You had to think a few turns beforehand when to play this. Now you can play it not as fast anymore, but it still has the same effect. You can still do the same thing you wanted to do. If you, for example, need that single spell you played, you can still get it, only a bit later. So all in all, this patch, we saw some big changes, or at least many changes, and this is gonna shake up the meta quite a bit. I think the faction who benefited most from this patch is Songhai, not only because of this one, but because all their good cards were untouched. Tusk Boar, Backstab Mask, everything was untouched, and they continue to be really great. Also, this replaced their Jaxi, or can replace the Jaxi, because if they don't want to use Jaxi anymore, they can use the Assassin. And yeah, that's why I think Songhai got to the top again. Vitruvian is, I have to see, but I believe it's more difficult now to fully utilize Vitruvian. And other than that, Abyssian got a buff, and Magmar and Lionel, who were really bad already, got huge nerfs. And I think Vanna too, because not all Vanna decks, but many Vanna decks I've seen use Jaxi and Keep of the Veil. So yeah, this is a strange patch. The weak factions got even weaker, and good factions stay quite good, or at least not that much weaker. Oh well, we will have to see what happens. Thanks for watching, and game on!